If this is your first time to the Poised Chaos channel, welcome. This channel was created in order to help individuals build unique life skills as well as find their innermost passion. As I was discussing before, today we're going to focus on phase 2 of the interview preparation. And I've identified that in 4 key steps. The first step is, what do you do the day before preparation, or maybe the week of? What do you do the day of the preparation? What do you do when you're going through the interview? And lastly, how do you wrap everything up in a nice neat bow? So now let's get into step 2. Now, step 2 is also a great connection to step 1 as far as the preparation. And in step 2, I also type this up as well. Now, I always type up all of the questions that I want to ask my interviewer. I always prepare 1 to 2 questions of each interviewer, and I make sure that the questions are not the same. Now, you can use the same question in each organization that you're interviewing with. You don't always have to come up with super unique questions, but I always think it's important, and I'm always surprised when people don't ask questions in the interview. Even something as basic as, how do you enjoy working here? I always try to ask like thoughtful questions and strategic questions so the interviewer knows how I think. So I ask questions of, how do you continue to challenge your perspective? Or how do you continue to make tough decisions with your business partners? Or, what do you need from your own personal development to challenge you or to take the team to the next level? And those are some questions that I think are super important to ask as well. So don't be shy. That's your opportunity. And as I mentioned in previous videos, interviewers love to talk about themselves. So give them a gateway into asking very thoughtful questions about themselves. And what I do as well, like I mentioned before, I type them up. I create a little bit of a space, like a little bit of a half of a paragraph, and I write down everything that they say. So just in case I go to the next interview and it is, a direct connection, I'm able to refer back to it. And it sounds like I'm kind of going along the journey with the organization as well as the interviewer. Okay, now it's time for me to land the plane in steps 3 and 4. Now remember, in step 1 and 2, we talk about the preparation piece, printing out itineraries, making sure that you have your interview questions prepared, making sure that you put together your portfolio. Now in step 3, what do you do when you're actually in the interview? I always tell people, 1, never chew gum. Always make sure that you have mints. Try to limit the amount of water that you drink, because then you don't want to be sitting in an interview fidgeting because you have to go to the restroom. Ask your recruiter to give you maybe 15-minute breaks in between 1 or 2 interviews, so you do have time to go freshen up, take a deep breath, go to the restroom. So while you're in the interview, before you leave each one, always make sure you end the interview with a question specific to, did I provide you everything that you need? Or are there anything that we discussed that may not have closed the gap for you? Because that's your way to check for understanding before you move to the next interview. And one last ditch effort, try to get their business card. If you give them their business card, that's great, because then you're able to send a thank you letter specifically to them, as opposed to sending the thank you letter to the recruiter, which ends up happening because recruiters technically shouldn't be giving out any of the hiring managers or any of the interviewers' email addresses. It really is against a lot of companies' policies, so don't be surprised if you don't, but that's a way for you to kind of have a direct connection to that person. Now, how do we wrap this up in a nice neat bow and land the plane? Now, one of the things that I always do is I always have my thank you letters pre-drafted and already ready to go. So then when I am in my car or I'm on my way back home, I can send that thank you letter via email right away. Before, you used to be able to send thank you letters through the mail. I mean, some people feel indifferent about them. I think if you made a really nice connection with someone, it's not a bad idea to write them a handwritten note, and you can kind of prepare that as well, or keep those notes with you. But I always believe that having it pre-drafted, and you can always make like quick edits if you need to in order before you actually send it out, but having it pre-drafted with either the recruiter's email or having it pre-drafted to that person specifically is really great. And even if you don't have the email address, it's okay, you'll be able to get it. And each individual person that you interview with should be getting their own thank you letter, even if it's up to 6 people, because it's always appropriate and professional to follow up with someone after the interview. One of the other things that you should always be thoughtful of is if someone doesn't respond back, do not take it personal, because when they're not only are they interviewing you, they're probably interviewing multiple candidates. So if they don't respond back, don't think it's a knock on you. It's just they can't respond back to everyone, but that doesn't deter you from still showing up and giving your A game. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your comments at the bottom. Always make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I give some daily, motivational tips, because anybody who kind of are starting to kind of get embraced to and introduced to the Poised Chaos channel, they know that I believe in motivation and inspiration. It helps me kind of get going throughout the day. So like I said, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Instagram. Please share it with multiple people, and also just leave feedback. I want to make sure that I'm giving you everything that you need in order for you to be success and you can really knock the day out. All right, everybody, until next time, we'll talk soon.